Good afternoon. Appreciate everyone coming over on kind of short notice this afternoon. We want to bring you up to date on, I think, an item of particular interest. The Ford Center construction project is nearly officially complete. Although the building opened over a year ago, it has been a success by all measures. And tomorrow, with the installation of the vibrant river sculpture, will officially conclude the construction portion of the project. That happens tomorrow at 4 o'clock, and I hope you all can join us for that unveiling. It's going to be really, really dynamic. Clearly, our administration's role in the Ford Center project has been limited, as the Ford Center construction project was 95% complete upon us taking office. However, we felt it was prudent and necessary to review financial aspects of the project, as this was one of the largest capital projects in our city's history. On July 5th, 2012, I instructed the City Controller to file a formal request with the Indiana State Board of Accounts to conduct a financial review of the Ford Center construction project. Following conversations with Bruce Hartman, the state examiner, the SBOA agreed to conduct a financial examination for the period 2009 through December 31st, 2012. Yesterday, the State Board of Accounts provided the report to our office. The Controller and City Council leadership via email stating that the report would be available to the public on Monday. Unfortunately, the instructions by the State Board of Accounts during our exit conference and again yesterday were not followed, and the report was released to select media before being made available to the general public. That's why we are here today. Regarding the report, I'd like to first acknowledge the State Board of Account examiners for spending more than 400 hours reviewing records from about 50 vendors involved in the construction of the Ford Center. Their diligence in meticulously combing through nearly 1,000 documents was a worthwhile exercise and identified new issues and highlighted others that were already discovered by city personnel in the past year. For example, incorrect payments to vendors were identified, including the already reported funds that were directed toward vendors associated with the construction of the new North High School. That specific error was identified by staff in the Department of Metropolitan Development and was corrected immediately by the bank trustee. This review did find 11 double payments by the bank trustee out of thousands of transactions over the life of the project. To date, funds have been collected minus $308,550 from 3 vendors, which we are currently in the process of collecting. Again, $308,000 in overpayments out of about $127.5 million. Bottom line, I fully concur with the State Board of Accounts review in that better oversight throughout the project should have taken place. More importantly, the State Board of Accounts found no funds were missing as a result of any criminal wrongdoing. The previous administration had brought a project manager on board and, in our opinion, brought the $127.5 million project in on time and under budget, which is remarkable, I believe, given the scope and complexity of the budget. However, we fully recognize the need for an owner's representative for future large-scale projects in the city, such as the Convention Hotel. That person will solely focus on the financial aspects of the project and provide monthly updates to the executive and legislative branches of city government. During my presentation to the City Council on April 29th regarding the Convention Hotel project, I committed that an owner's representative or a similar position would be in place during the life of that project, and we remain committed to that today. I'm also proud to say that our internal review, in addition to the findings contained in the report, have resulted in the implementation of new controls and new safeguards by the bank trustee and various departments within the city. Before I ask the City Controller to discuss what those process improvements are, I must point out that this project is an example of what our city can do. And our administration will continue to strive to move our city forward by providing projects that enhance our quality of life, boost economic development, and make us all proud to call Evansville home. I'd like to thank everyone in our community that made the Ford Center a reality, as our city now has a beautiful facility that has already received industry recognition and has had hundreds of thousands of visitors. The Ford Center is a tremendous asset to our city, and I hope that every citizen in the city has a chance to experience it. With that, I'd like to turn it over to our City Controller, Russ Lloyd, who has some comments as well.
Thank you, Mayor. I wanted to mention some of the steps that we've taken as this examination process was ongoing. The City of Evansville Finance Department and the Department of Metropolitan Development have both made procedural changes based on the findings that were developed through the process of this examination. Let me list a couple of the steps. The new DMD finance officers developed an improved tracking system of project accounting that will more accurately track project cost, work performed, purchase orders and invoices, payments made, and balance outstanding. In addition, the DMD finance officers also implemented a review of project retainages and reviewing of the trustee statements sent to the city to eliminate duplicate or overpayments. Second, Finance Department and DMD have changed our reviewing procedures for trustee statements for the bond issues and construction projects. This will allow us to use a dual control system, so both departments will separately be logging these statement balances and reviewing the transactions on a more timely basis. Number three, I've enlisted the city attorneys to review some of the legal questions that came out from the examination, such as early lease payments and specific Build America bond requirements, and paying some of the operating expenses for the arena prior to the opening. Number four, we're working more closely with our trustee, and they have implemented some operational changes based on the Build America bonds as well to eliminate future duplicate payments. And finally, DMD has enlisted a national accounting consulting firm to review their operations and make recommendations for improvements in purchase order and invoice processing, office workflow, procedures, and internal controls. When we had our exit conference with the state board, and specifically about this examination, one of the city council members asked if a forensic audit of the Ford Center was needed. After all the hours and work that she put in, the state board examiner dismissed the idea of a forensic audit. This administration took office at the end of this massive $127 million project to complete the final steps. Through the process of this extensive review and exercise, examining all these documents, we're confident all the services were performed and the payments are accounted for. We've reviewed everything, everything's been reviewed and accounted for. And I'll turn it back over to the mayor.
Thanks, Russ. Just a couple final comments on this kind of cloudy Friday afternoon. I'd like to comment on what I think seems to be taking place lately, and that's the politicalization of just about everything that takes place in city government. Quite frankly, it's frustrating and it is unproductive. Whether it's a major project like the Ford Center or myths about city finances, I will not be detoured in providing a positive, progressive vision for our city. Our citizens deserve nothing less. Think about this. Since January 2012, our city has earned 7 positive bond ratings. It's operating under a balanced budget, and it's demonstrated numerous times with financial data that the city has the financial capacity to do major projects such as the Convention Hotel and the IU Med School expansion. Clearly, our financial health is strong, and our debt is now lower than it was when we took office by $12 million. All of us, city leaders, citizens, business leaders, labor leaders, I don't care what your affiliation. We all need to work together in a collaborative, professional manner to really make Evansville a better place to live, work, and play. And with that, Russ and I will be happy to take any questions.
So this means there will be no follow-up audit that the council had called for in March.
The State Board of Accounts work is done. If the City Council elects to hire someone else, that's certainly their business. But it was clearly the recommendation of the State Board of Accounts at the exit conference that additional examination of the Ford Center construction project was not needed.
Haven't they already hired somebody though?
I don't know.
They've not come to us and told us if there's any other person. We have all the records for the Ford Center construction, so we've not had any record requests.
The report and your response seem to disagree on a couple of points. one of them being the council set a cap of 127.5, I think Mayor alluded to it, $127.5 million for construction and design. The state report seems to think you exceeded that. You maintain that you did not. Can you explain the difference of opinion there?
Yes, and our reply is a part of the audit, and the state board recognizes that. We would contend, that first of all, the monies that the city and the trustee are going to recover from the vendors at it's $308,000 total. You would subtract that off from the state board's total, since they recorded total spending, which was I think they were 128. I think 128.2. So you would subtract 300,000 off. That gets you down to 127.9. And then we would contend the 562,000 that was the contract with Venue Works for pre-opening activities to make sure that the arena opened as a success. We would contend that wasn't part of arena construction, and that would lower you below the 127.5. So it's a difference of maybe how you're classifying the expense.
Mr. Mayor, you mentioned the politicalization of everything here in Evansville. How do you think that started? Why do you think it continues? And how do you go about alleviating that?
I don't know how it started. It's certainly open to anyone's interpretation. This is what we come to work to do every day, and that is to lead the citizens of Evansville in a positive, upbeat fashion. That's what people. That's the feedback we get day in and day out. People like our approach. They like the fact that we're inclusive, and will continue to be an inclusive administration that seeks input from every aspect of our city, and we're going to be positive and upbeat. It's important to stay on the high road, and we will.
If someone responded to that by saying it's a healthy debate and it comes along with the concept of separation of powers.
Healthy debate on the merits of public policy is great. That's not what we're talking about here. I think if you follow some media accounts, you see that there are those who want to make political hay out of everything. Healthy debate on public policy is fantastic. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about what I perceive to be the politicalization of just about everything that happens in this building. And that's unfortunate.
You think this might be the spirit of Congress and the presidency kind of rubbing off a little bit on Evansville?
Oh, I would certainly hope not. You know, this is my thought on that. I think we may not like how Washington gets along. We've come to expect it. I don't think the citizens of Evansville expect that same level of cooperation from local leaders. They want us to get along. They understand we're going to disagree, and disagreement is fine, but it needs to be demonstrated in a healthy way.